not to be the case. Joe Khalil, reporting from Capitol Hill, thank you. The world won't just be looking at what President Biden has to say in his opening remarks at NATO in just a few moments, but how he says it. Joining us now is Mick Mulvaney, former acting White House Chief of Staff and NewsNation political contributor. Also joining us is NewsNation political contributor and Democratic strategist Kurt Bardella. Great to have both of you with us. First of all, Kurt, I've got to get your reaction to this breaking news that yet another Democratic congressman has come out, very publicly said, Mr. President, you've done a great job, but you must step aside.
Yeah, I think that's a congressperson who's being honest. I think what I find most offensive right now is that every single one of these elected officials in the Democratic Party who is publicly standing with the president right now, they are privately saying something very different. And it's an act of cowardice, in my opinion. If you are to believe the premise from the Democratic Party that this is the most important election of our lifetime, that democracy itself is on the ballot, then you have to be honest about the limitations of the current president. And you have to be honest about your reservations about his mental acuity. There's no shame in saying, hey, he's 82 years old. He's been president for 4 years.
Well, he's 81. He's 81.
He's 81, will be 82 this year. But we all know the toll that this office takes on anybody, 40, 50, 60. It takes a toll. We see people walk in with no gray hair. They walk out with gray hair. Joe Biden's been president for 4 years. He is a very old 81, eventually 82-year-old president.
Yeah,
we cannot ask voters to ignore their eyes and basic common sense.
Mick, we've now set up this scenario where, as we look at this live shot of the NATO opening ceremony and wait for President Biden to take the podium, where everybody's going to watch like every single word he says, every single step he takes. There's no room for a mistake. I mean, how do you even function in an environment like that?
You don't, Elizabeth. The bar was very low for the debate. All he had to do during the debate was essentially repeat what he had done during the State of the Union address back in March. Having failed that low bar, now the bar is extraordinarily high. Every single little misstep, every mispronunciation, every slurred word was going to be magnified. But even then, let's say he comes out today and he's absolutely Superman, gives a tremendous speech, and then tomorrow doesn't. Or next week doesn't. He's going to be judged by whatever the worst performance he has between now and the election. My question is this to the Democrats who have come out and I think made the right decision. I think Kurt is right. If you really think this election is that important, you can't go forward with someone who's not fully capable of engaging in the campaign. But how do these Democrats who have come out and said, look, I can't support the president, I don't think he's up to the task, how do they dial that back? And when they get asked during their own debates, when they're running for office, do you think the president can do the job for the next 4 years? What are they going to say? I don't think there's any way back from where they are right now. Once you've had this many high-profile Democrats come out and say they think they should move on from Biden, my guess is it has to go that way simply because there's no way to rebuild what has been lost.
In the meantime, Kurt, this NATO summit is, it includes days of meetings, a dinner at the White House. He's going to meet with Zelensky later tonight, a highly anticipated solo press conference that the president will conduct, his first since November. And each one of these is sort of, it's like this high wire act.
Yeah, and I think really the press conference is probably the most important of all these. I don't think anyone really has a doubt that the president can't get through a teleprompter speech. He's very familiar with that backdrop, and I'm sure he'll do fine in that, frankly. It's the extemporaneous performance that I think Democrats right now are really looking at. That is as close to the debate environment that we're likely to see the president in, is taking questions from reporters and kind of being at their mercy and responding on your feet. That is the true test of the acuity question right now that Democrats are looking for. So I think a lot hinges on tomorrow's press conference.
Mick, in the meantime, Donald Trump, your old boss, said he thinks that Biden will stay in the race because, quote, he's got an ego and he doesn't want to quit. Is that what does he really, would he prefer to run against Biden than a Kamala Harris or any of the other Democratic stars?
Sometimes the devil you know in this business is better than the devil you don't. I'm pretty sure that the Trump team feels like they can beat Joe Biden, and I'm pretty sure they feel like they can beat Kamala Harris. These are two known qualities on the Democrat side of the ledger. It's not that they don't think they can't beat Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer. These are just personalities that are not as well known nationwide. So you have to sort of look at that hypothetical race differently. The Trump team would have to spend a lot of time and a lot of money educating voters about a Gavin Newsom or a Gretchen Whitmer or fill in the blank, where they feel that Biden and Harris are known quantities and they know how to run against them.
Yeah.
So, look, I think Trump is probably doing the right thing, which is getting out of the way. I think they'd be happy to run against Biden, happy to run against Harris. But everything beyond that is just sort of an unknown.
All right, Mick Mulvaney, Kurt Bardella, thank you so much. Really appreciate you weighing in as we look at a live shot of all the NATO world leaders assembling on this